So when I'm out doing my workshops with people, workshops are normally 5 to 6 people. I like to keep them nice and small. I always give people some lessons and some rules to follow. So we'll go through different stages on the workshop. We'll break it up. This way people start to develop their skills and their style a lot more. And by the end of the workshop, they come away with a body of work that they're really, really happy with. When I first started doing workshops, this was something that I developed. So yeah, when I first started doing workshops and teaching people, I kind of went with the flow, and sometimes people would just wander off in all sorts of directions and taking all sorts of pictures. And at the end, they just had a very varied set of photos. Well, after a while, I started to develop certain styles and certain skills that will then really help them out and point them in the right direction. So in this video, I am going to be sharing 5 lessons, 5 tips that will help you develop your photography and help you develop your photography style, so that when you go out, you will come back with a body of work that really looks good together. Restricting yourself does sound counterintuitive when we're out there doing creative work or out doing any sort of creative work. But trust me, bear with me here. Restricting yourself to a certain street or an alleyway, or maybe it's a car park or a train platform or anything like that, can be very, very helpful. When we're out doing our photo walks, we can easily just keep wandering, keep taking a left, right, turning, and just hoping that something catches our eye. And really, if we just restricted ourselves to that one street, and we stayed on that one street for 10, 15, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even an hour, you will force yourself to see many, many magical things that you just would not have seen if you just walked through there in 30 seconds or so. Every street, every alleyway, every shop front, every park, car, whatever it might be, has a story. Now, do we have the skill to see that story? And do we have the skill to capture that story and tell it to the viewer? That is the question. So by restricting yourself to a certain area, you will see a lot more than you would otherwise. So try this. Restrict yourself to a street or maybe 2 streets. I would start with just a street, a few alleyways, a park, a car park. Restrict yourself to a small area and then give yourself a theme to work with. So you might want to work with light and shadow, or you might want to work with portraits or people, or you might want to work with abstract shapes or cars or buildings or whatever it might be. Give yourself a theme, give yourself a small geographical area to work with. So the subject that you choose doesn't really matter, whatever it might be. It might be something from the list that I didn't even mention. What does matter is that you stick to that subject and you stick to that area, and then you come away with a body of work that works well together. So you can shoot black and white, you can shoot color, you can shoot both, whatever takes your fancy, whatever you feel. Listen to your inner creative voice. Shooting at night is a fantastic way of developing your photography skills. Street photography at night is fantastic. In London, it is absolutely amazing. But in any major city, and even in the quieter little villages and the outskirts of London, you can capture some amazing photos. Going out at night, you will use light such as the lamps on the street, or the shops that produce light and spew them out onto the road, or bus stops, or car headlights and buildings. They all light up in a totally different way. It's a totally different look and feel to daytime street photography. So I encourage you to go out there and concentrate on the light and the shadow at nighttime. Nighttime photography is a lot more predictable than daytime photography because we're not relying on the sun. And sometimes in places like London and other European cities, the sun might be out, but we have many clouds that pass by the sun and changes the light as we go to take that photo. At nighttime, the light is a lot more steady and a lot more predictable. So if you have a shop front or a bus stop, the light is going to stay the same. So you can have a lot more time in composing and framing and getting your settings and so on. Now, once you've got your frame, and you just have to wait for the right person, bike, car, bird, whatever it might be, to come by. So I really do encourage you to get out there, especially in the winter months, because the light is a lot shorter in the daytime and the night times are a lot longer. So get out there at nighttime, wrap up warm, and practice night photography. It's a fantastic world out there, and you'll be surprised at the photos that you capture. Using negative space in our photography can produce a feeling of loneliness and wonder. It adds a lot more dimension to our photography. Sometimes a lot of beginner photographers, they like to cram in as much as they can, and they're not too worried about what's in the frame and what's out of the frame. Try to keep a single subject in your frame in this lesson, a single subject like I have done here, and try to use the negative space to add a whole entire new element. Allow the frame to breathe, give the subject space within the frame, and you'll see that the negative space actually makes the subject more powerful. You can try this out. So take a photo, have a single subject, and then when you get it back on Lightroom or whatever your editing software might be, duplicate it, make 2 copies of it. In one copy, give it lots of negative space and allow the subject a lot more room within the frame. And in the second copy, crop it down so that there is hardly any negative space and the subject is centered and it's taking up the frame. Now look at them side to side. Here's an example. Which one do you prefer? I personally much prefer the one with negative space. The one that's cropped in, yeah, okay, it still works, still a nice photo, but it feels a lot more claustrophobic to me. It feels a lot more busy and more crammed. I love the negative space that this has added to the frame, the feeling of wonder, the feeling of loneliness and space that we have in our big cities. Another lesson that I'd like you to concentrate on is leading lines. So go out there for 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, a full session if you like, and just concentrate on leading lines. One subject in your frame and use leading lines. It could be a path, it could be the road, buildings, it could be a bridge, it could be a sign, it could be a vehicle. Use the lines in the environment and in the frame to point the viewer's attention towards the subject. Sometimes you can do this towards the center of your frame, sometimes you can do it to the left, to the bottom, to the right. Play around with this. Don't always just try and put everything in the center. Be creative. Allow your creative juices to flow. So in this example here, this is the Millennium Bridge, I believe, that goes over from St. Paul's to the Tate. I'm using the leading lines of the bridge to point towards the subject. You can see the subject is off center, so it adds a lot more depth to the photo. So go out there for a session and practice leading lines. It's a whole element that adds a new dimension to your photography. So I just want to jump into the video quickly and mention my workshops. There's a lot of you out there that send me messages asking about workshops. They're on my website. So sign up to the newsletter and you'll get a message every now and again. I won't inundate you with rubbish about my workshops and my London guide that is going to be coming out soon. I have been doing photography for a very, very long time and I know the London streets like the back of my hand. I decided to put together a little PDF that will help you navigate the streets of London, know where to go. I've got geotags in there that tells you exact locations of where to take the photos. We go about settings, cameras, lenses, the exposure triangle. There's a load of information in there, over 10 years of my information in this PDF. So sign up to the newsletter. You'll find out about my workshops and my guide that's coming out, you'll be first to know. And the last lesson that I'd like you to try out is called layering. Layering is a fantastic way of adding a lot more interest to your photo and your photography. So you can just take flat images with just a subject against the wall or against the car or against the building or wherever it might be, but take a step back. Look around you. Is there a side of a car that you could use? Or maybe there's a lamppost that you could just use the edge of to cut out some of the noise in the frame. Or maybe there's a wall, or maybe there's a bin or a phone box or something else that you could just step back in your environment and add another layer of dimension to your photography. When you start to practice layering and you add this into your photography, it just adds a whole new element and a whole new world. So as you practice these different lessons, you practice them individually and then you put them together, your photography is no doubt going to raise up a few notches. Here you can see from this example, this is just a flat image. And yeah, it's a nice image. It's interesting. I like the framing, I like the lighting, and so on. But I took a step back and I looked around in my environment and I added another layer. Now, let me put them both side to side so you can see the difference. And me, I personally prefer the one with the extra layer involved. It just adds a lot more depth to the frame. It helps the viewer lead their eye to the subject. Now, this doesn't work all the time, and I'm not saying that every single photo that you take needs layers. But when you're in a situation and you've practiced all these different elements and you've got leading lines and you've got light and dark shadow in your toolbox and you've got layering in your toolbox, yeah, you can add all these into one photo. But in some environments, the leading lines, you might just want to concentrate on that, and that really makes that photo, that frame pop. In another environment, layering might work, and you will add layering to your subject and your frame, and that really adds a whole new world to that photography session. Or you might use none of them, and the subject and the story just itself is strong enough. You don't need to add anything else to it. I've done that a lot. I've done that a lot of times where I've just been out and I've taken a photo and the story is just there. Anyway, I hope these tips really help you out. Please do practice them. Give them time to sink in. Don't just try and do it for 5 minutes and then think, oh, I'm going to rush off and do something else. This is not working for me. Delve into it. Allow your creative juices to come out and play and practice your photography. Okay, I hope this is helpful. Until the next time, get out there and take those photos.